Right now, you're working 60 hours a week trying to prove your loyalty to a corporation. You are the first one in the office, the last one to leave, and you volunteer for every extra project. You believe that if you just grind hard enough, the executive team will notice your biological sacrifice and hand you a 20% raise. You are playing a rigged game and you are losing. In the 2026 corporate enterprise, hard work is not a competitive advantage. It is a symptom of algorithmic inefficiency. If you are using your biological bandwidth to execute repetitive cognitive labor, you are signaling to the C-suite that you are a depreciating asset. Before I give you the exact 5-phase architectural blueprint to securely automate 80% of your job, bypass corporate IT surveillance, and manufacture a retention crisis that forces your company to hand you a massive raise, hit the subscribe button and press the notification bell. I post daily videos showing you exactly how to navigate the global labor market using cold, hard engineering logic. You do not want to miss these architectures. Today, we are moving past the concept of hard worker. We are going to execute the silent promotion. I'm going to show you how to deploy private, quantitized AI models to execute your deliverable, how to artificially stagger your output to mimic human struggle, and how to weaponize the free time you reclaim to dominate your salary negotiations. Grab a notebook, it is time to stop being an employee and start operating as a systemic architect. Welcome back, I'm Dr. HR. To understand why my approach to the corporate leverage is aggressively different from a generic advice provided by traditional career coaches, you must understand my underlying architecture. I hold a PhD in Human Resources, a Master's from prestigious Tata Institute of Social Sciences (TISS), and a Bachelor's in Computer Engineering. I do not look at a job description as a list of duties to be performed. I look at it as a computational equation. Operating on the ground here in Dubai since 2010, consulting for apex corporate entities and global capability centers, I see exactly how the highest paid operator manipulate the system. They do not work harder. They deploy algorithmic leverage. We define this mathematically. Your goal is to drive the denominator, your biological time and effort, as close to zero as possible while driving the numerator. You synthesize corporate output to infinity. Let us deconstruct the 5 phases of the silent promotion: the illusion of omnipresence, privacy as a power move, automating high-value output, manufacturing the retention crisis, and the execution of the ask. Phase 1. The illusion of omnipresence. You must first dismantle the catastrophic illusion of traditional corporate grind. The industrial age taught us that volume of time equals volume of value. If the age of generative intelligence, this equation is dead. If you are grinding 12 hours a day to produce a supply chain report, you are not dedicated. You are a computational illiterate. Corporations use what I call the artificial productivity ceiling to control you. They give you just enough administrative friction, email, weekly sync, data entry, to exhaust your biological battery. When you are exhausted, you cannot think strategically, you cannot demand a higher valuation. You must shift your objective. Your goal is no longer to be the best doer of the work. Your goal is to become the indispensable system architect. You're going to build an invisible digital exoskeleton. You are going to create the illusion of omnipresence. To the CEO, it will appear that you are operating at a superhuman speed, flawlessly executing strategic reports, analyzing market data, and managing operations simultaneously. But you are not doing the work. You are simply the biological orchestrator of a synthetic workforce. You are trading the exhaustion of manual execution for the absolute leverage of automated delegation. Phase 2. Privacy as a power move, the IT blind spot. If you are going to automate your job, you must understand corporate operational scrutiny. The biggest mistake amateurs make is attempting to automate their work using the company's enterprise ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot account. The IT surveillance matrix. Do you think the company gives you a Copilot license to empower you? They give it to you to monitor you. If you use the corporate cloud to automate your job, the IT department and the HR director has full access to your prompt. When the CEO sees your massive spike in productivity, they will ask IT how you are doing. IT will pull your logs and say, he isn't doing anything.
The LLM is doing the 90% of his work. You will not get a raise, you will get fired, and the company will just keep the prompt chain you build to replace you. The local LLM architecture. You must execute privacy as a power move. You must take your automation entirely off the corporate grid. You do this by deploying quantized local LLMs. Instead of using a cloud-based API that logs your data, you purchase a high-powerful personal laptop, a Mac with a unified memory or a PC with a heavy GPU, and you run models locally using frameworks like Llama or LM Studio. You can run highly capable 4-bit quantized open-source model like Llama 3 or Mistral completely offline. The air-gapped strategy. Your personal hardware becomes an air-gapped cognitive node. It never connects to the corporate VPN. You export the raw, non-confidential data from your work machine, process it through your local LLM on your personal machine, and then import the finished, highly polished, strategic synthetic work to your work computer. Style replication. You feed your local LLM your last 50 successful corporate emails, reports, and presentations. You train it on your specific syntax, your vocabulary, and your structural tone. When the local agent generates a Q3 market analysis, it does not sound like a generic AI.
It sounds exactly like you, just operating at the peak cognitive capacity 100% of the time. You maintain absolute operational secrecy. The company gets the output, but they never see the engine. Phase 3. Automating high-value output. Now that your private infrastructure is secure, what exactly do you automate? You do not automate everything. You apply the strict Pareto principle. You map the 20% of the tasks that drive 80% of the management's perception of your value. The executive board does not care how quickly you reply to an internal Slack message. They care about high-level strategic synthesis. They care about quarterly financial model, competitive market analysis, and risk mitigation reports. These are the high-value outputs. Engineering prompt chains. You do not use single-shot prompt. You build prompt chain. 1. Node 1 extraction. The agent ingests 40 pages of raw, chaotic regional sales data. 2. Node 2 analysis. The agent cross-references that data against the UAE central bank interest rate fluctuations. 3. Node 3 synthesis. The agent formats the finding into a flawless C-suite ready executive summary with predictive risk warning. What used to take you 4 days of grueling biological labor now takes your local node 12 seconds to process. Staggered delivery cycle mimicking the humans. This is the most critical psychological tactic of the silent promotion. If your boss asks for a massive, complex structural report on Monday morning, and you deliver a flawless 30-page at 11:14 a.m. on Monday, you have made a fatal error. You have revealed the automation. Humans do not work that fast. You must architect staggered delivery cycle. Your AI finishes the report in 12 seconds. You do not send it. You schedule the email to send on Wednesday at 4:48 p.m. Why 4:48? Because it mimics the human struggle. It signals to the executive subconscious that you were grinding away at this complex problem all week, perfecting, executing the final edit just before the end of the workday. You are manufacturing the perception of immense biological effort while actually spending your week at the gym or building a side business. You control the tempo. You throttle the synthetic output to match the absolute limit of human capability, making you appear as the ultimate irreplaceable apex operator. Phase 4. Manufacturing the retention crisis. By Phase 4, you have reclaimed 30 hours of your week. You are generating elite, high-value output. Management views you as a superstar. Most professionals would stop here. They would enjoy the free time. An apex operator weaponizes the free time. You must transition from being a reliable employee to being a single point of failure, SPOF, for your department. Building the SPOF. Because your output is so flawless and so high volume, the company will naturally start routing their most complex problem to you. Accept them, feed them into your invisible prompt chain. Within the 6 months,
The entire department's strategic output is quietly flowing through your private, localized automation architecture. If you leave, the department's productivity will mathematically collapse. They cannot replicate your output because they do not have your engine. You have become the bottleneck of excellence, gathering the market data. You use your 30 hours of reclaimed weekly bandwidth to ruthlessly interview with your company's competitor. You're not interviewing because you want to leave. You are interviewing to acquire hard, undeniable market data. You secure 2 external job offers offering a 30 to 40% salary premium based on the superhuman portfolio of work you have been producing, signaling mobility. You do not threaten your employer, you execute subtle mobility signaling. You update your LinkedIn profile with your massive systemic achievement. You let it slip in a casual conversation that a sovereign wealth fund recently reached out to you for a fractional consulting role. You are triggering a defensive response from your leadership. You are manufacturing a retention crisis. The CEO looks at your output, realizes the department will collapse without you, senses that the market is trying to poach you, and begins to panic. You have perfectly set the stage for the execution.
Phase 5, the execution of the ask. We arrive at the boardroom, the performance review. When an amateur asks for a raise, they use a weak emotional argument. They talk about inflation in Dubai. They talk about how hard they have been working. They ask for a 5% cost of living adjustment. When a sovereign operator asks for a raise, they do not ask. They execute a commercial transaction, the data-backed proof. You walk into the meeting and you place a documented matrix of your output on the table. Execution. In the last 3 quarters, my operational output has scaled by 400%. I personally delivered the Q1, Q2, and Q3 predictive market analysis, reducing our external consulting spend by $120,000. I have restructured our internal reporting logic, reducing cross-departmental latency by 40%, the proprietary methodology. When the executive asks you how you achieve this massive spike in productivity without burning you, you do not mention your local LLM. You do not mention automation. You frame it as a proprietary cognitive methodology. Execution. I have developed a proprietary systematic workflow. I've optimized my architectural approach data, allowing me to synthesize market variable faster than anyone else in this sector. This is a highly specialized framework that I bring exclusively to this firm. Closing the deal. You have proven your value. You have established that your methodology is a proprietary to not the company's IT department. Now you introduce the market data. Execution. Based on the undeniable, measurable EBITDA impact of my proprietary system and the current offer I'm fielding from a broader GCC market, my current compensation is structurally misaligned. To ensure my continued deployment of this architecture exclusively for this, we need to adjust my base compensation by 35% effectively immediately. You're not asking for a raise for hours you worked. You're demanding a premium licensing fee for the automated system you now control. Because you are a single point of failure and because your output is mathematically undeniable, the company has no choice. It is cheaper to pay you a 35% premium than to lose the engine that is driving their department. You have successfully executed the silent promotion. Look closely at the mechanics of the corporate ladder. The people at the very top did not get there by typing faster or staying at the office till 9 p.m. They got there by building leverage. If you are trading your raw biological time for a 3% annual raise, you are being exploited by a system that expects you to eventually burn out. Stop grinding, start automating, take your cognitive labor off the grid, deploy private localized intelligence, stagger your output to control the psychological perception of your executive, reclaim your time, secure the external market data, and manufacture the crisis that forces the company to pay you what you are actually worth. You are no longer an employee, you are an architect of your own sovereign infrastructure. Process the data, execute the strategy, and I'll see you at